Welcome back to the Week in Review edition of Bayou Time. I'm Jason Dagate. We now continue with Thursday's edition of Bayou Time, where we had Board President Don Hingle from TEDA and also other board members from TEDA who were on the set of Bayou Time to just discuss the role that TEDA plays in helping retaining jobs in the Terrebonne Parish area, as well as furthering the economy in Terrebonne Parish. Let's educate the public exactly on, first of all, what TEDA stands for and how it was created.
Sure. It's a good question. TEDA stands for Terrebonne Economic Development Authority, and it was formed about 5.5 years ago. It was actually 5 years in the making before that, before we actually got it off the ground. But it's a public-private partnership. And what it really is, it's a model that has worked out very well around the country and several places in Louisiana as well, where the parish government and the private sector, the business community, work together to form economic development. And we're, I think, the 7th in the state that has formed this, and it's very effective. And it's supported by the occupational license fee that was implemented about 5.5 years ago for this. We get about half of those taxes, and the rest goes to the parish.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Voisin, you've been with TEDA for some time. Ultimately, what was the purpose of setting up TEDA, and who made that decision? Was it the council, or was it local leaders in the area?
Well, it was a combination of the business community, the Chamber of Commerce, the SCIA, South Central Industrial Association, were the two big community groups that were pushing it. It is actually state legislated into being, so the state legislature put it into being, and the council appoints the board based on nominations from different groups in the community. And it took a little while to get organized, but you know, you're either growing or you're dying. You're moving forward or you're moving backwards. And Terrebonne Parish needs to move forward. We need to diversify our economic base, but we have to support those economies we currently have here. We've got a great oil and gas community here. We've got a great seafood community here, great agriculture community here, great tourism community here. We need to support those people and help them take advantage of all the opportunities they can, and at the same time, we've got to help them grow those jobs and bring in new jobs to support what we've got going on in this economy here.
Okay, and who makes TEDA run every day? Who encompasses TEDA?
Well, the board is 14 members, and they're an oversight, basically. They set the general direction of TEDA. We do that through an annual strategic planning and long-term goals, which we've had since the very beginning of TEDA. But the day-to-day, on-the-ground operations is run by a CEO and a staff. Currently, there's 5 full-time staff members and a couple of part-time members. And they're responsible. The CEO's responsible for implementing the direction of the board, and the staff obviously is assisting in that.
Okay, and we'll move forward into the CEO a little down the line, but when you talk about the board members, because TEDA is a public body, let's talk about the board members, or is it volunteer people?
Yeah, they're all volunteers. There's 14 board members. It's set up through Louisiana statute, and it's a Louisiana entity, but it's managed, internally, and it's a parish entity as well. It's 14 members. As Mike was saying, it's appointees that are all approved by the parish council. But the Chamber of Commerce has 3 appointees. The SCIA, South Central Industrial Association, has 3 appointees. You have the Bayou Board of Realtors has an appointee, the NAACP has an appointee, the Parish School District has an appointee, and then the remainder are appointees by the parish president and the council. And then there is a ad hoc appointee from Nicholls State University as well. Dr. Laney Barrilow is ours, but they're non-voting.
Well, good. That's good for our viewers to know that it's encompassed by leaders in the community who are volunteering their time to further the economic development.
Right.
You know, Jason, what's interesting is it's a diverse group of business leaders that come together, and most of all of our decisions are made by consensus. I mean, most of them are all 100%. There are times when we have differences of opinion, but we work them out to come to a final conclusion and to move again this parish forward through the economic development. It will help be, and it is, I think, part of the engine that drives this parish, economic development. Again, you're either growing or you're dying,
right.
And Terrebonne Parish is growing.
Okay. Since its inception, what are some of the things that TEDA has helped bring to the forefront?
Well, in the last 5.5 years, some of the bigger things, I mean, we've been instrumental in creating and retaining thousands of jobs in this area and having millions of dollars of private investment. Some of the major projects, I'll just rattle them off quickly. C-Corps headquarters being consolidated here from various parts of the southern part of our state. That was and they're located in downtown Houma. The Weatherford Jimico retention and expansion, when they flooded after one of the hurricanes, I guess it was Katrina, they were getting ready to move maybe to Texas.
Okay.
We were able to keep them here, and that was a $50 million investment in their new facility further north away from flooded areas.
So is that, before we move on, let's take that Weatherford, massive facility you have off of 311 now. Is that something TEDA helps to do, retain some of the business in the area as they grow? You certainly don't want to see them go elsewhere because we lose that income here.
Absolutely. There's 400 jobs at that facility, and TEDA was instrumental in finding some state funds and some local tax incentives to help keep them here. And of course, this investment has paid off probably many times already by just keeping those jobs and that infrastructure.
And Jason, what's interesting is that we're competing with every other community in the United States. We are not alone. Our Economic Development Authority isn't the only one out there. And there are people hitting on business leaders in our community on a regular basis. And I may get 3 or 4 emails a month from other communities saying, are you interested in moving? We can offer this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not interested in moving. My roots are here.
Right.
But there are businesses that say, what do you got? What's the deal? So we have to be selling in our community and maintaining and growing those existing jobs we have. And the Weatherford thing was a huge push and positive thing for Terrebonne Parish.
Yeah, and you can see it, immediately. Now you have, big truck stop right there next to the highway. You got to do technical college that's opening up. You have the BP facility that's opened
Exactly.
up. I mean, it's all growing. Let's continue with some other major projects.
Sure. You mentioned the technical college. They are on our represented on our board too. I forgot to mention them. La Ship, their facility that they're building with the new shipyard and the bulkheading and several other things. TEDA had some input on that, but they helped with a sewer line that was needed, and that was a big help. The Civic Center is a very recent Civic Center Hotel Courtyard by Marriott. Very recent. That's $22 million investment. TEDA was very instrumental in getting that to come here and to help support the Civic Center in that they can have some meetings now and support having a lot of people close by that can walk to those meetings. So there's a lot of small things that we do that are really kind of more every day, and it kind of we've tended to overlook that from our own aspect of marketing that. One of the things we've done recently, well, first of all, we're in charge of the badge program, so the reentry program for hurricanes.
Okay.
So we've been in charge of that for the last 3 years, I want to say. We have a micro loan program for small businesses. We have also a low interest loan program. We just were granted $1,300,000 in low interest loan funds for small businesses at a maximum interest rate of 4%. That's for people that can't get a typical bank loan, but this is a good way to help a larger group of people get off the ground, start new businesses, kind of incubate them and help them to grow.
Up next on the Weekend Review, we'll take you to Friday's news updates. That's all next on Bayou Time. And welcome back to the Weekend Review. We now take you to the top stories around the area that occurred on Friday. All right, we'll take a short break. When we continue, we'll close out the Weekend Review edition of Bayou Time with To Your Health with TGMC and also Canada's in the Kitchen.